The BBC prepares secret scripts for possible use in winter blackouts. Wonderful. Scripts set out how corporation will reassure public in event of major power loss. Well, if you live in a city as dense as London and there's no power, good luck. I don't know what they would do. That's a massively dense city with no energy. How long until the water stops flowing? How long until there's no food? Everything spoils.
In the dead of winter, especially when you can't heat your pipes, the water is going to, of course, create so much damage all throughout, the city center. It's absolutely mind-boggling to understand how fragile our current civilization is and what kind of a big mess our politicians are getting us into deliberately. We have to understand, these are not policies that were just accidentally created. These were policies that were fomented, that were built, that were tested on other societies and are being introduced right now, all under the umbrella of the Great Reset, all under the umbrella of taking care of the environment. And meanwhile, they are deliberately limiting energy to people so they could limit human potential. This is all a deliberate plan, and people have to really stand up for themselves, because if they don't, the mess is extremely serious. It's already going to hit everyone very, very hard very soon.
I just want to, I point this out whenever we talk about blackouts, but diabetics are at serious risk because insulin needs to be refrigerated. If power goes out, this is seriously bad for people who are diabetic. They're going to lose their lives. Now, if it's in winter, I don't know how cold it gets in London. Perhaps it will be cold enough outside where they can get a cooler. Maybe they can take snow or something, and they can.
Sure, London.
Yeah, they can keep their medicine, their insulin at the right temperature. Yeah. But even outside of that, in the winter when you can't heat your homes.
Yeah.
Food's gonna spoil. I suppose though in winter you put the food outside, it won't be as bad.
But then you have hotter summers every year in London now.
I wonder though, is the reason they're concerned about blackouts is because of heating your home? Is that the principal consumption of energy?
Yeah,
because they don't have air conditioning in London. It's terrible.
So it reeks of like this environmentalist, again, this global environmentalist. Conspiracy almost. But what's behind it? Like, why are they saying that there's going to be blackouts?
War.
I mean, it's a secret script, right? For possible, but is it war? Is it?
It's
lack of energy.
Yeah. So with the war in Russia, Nord Stream, they just posted video from the Nord Stream attack. It's an attack now at this point. 165 feet of the pipeline was blown off and is missing. That is not an accident. That is a huge chunk. Yeah. That's massive. It's, what is that? 165 feet? Is that half a football field?
Yeah. I don't know. I think so. I don't know.
More than half, yeah.
More than half. So it's 300 feet, right? 100 yards?
Yeah, like 70, 60 feet. No. It's less than half. What did you say,
165.
Okay.
More than half.
Half a football
field. And was it only one spot? I thought it was, I
think there were a
couple different
spots.
They
maybe the hits were in different spots and then it caused it to fall off or whatever.
They know what they hit it with?
No. Well, we don't. I mean, they might.
I wonder if they lined it with nanothermite and melted it off.
Saying, we know you did this. We know you did this.
Why would Putin blow up his own pipeline?
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
So they cut off the flow into Europe. Russia does. Russia starts, now we got this report. I've only seen it from South African sources, but you were mentioning this, Serge, that Saudi Arabia wants to join BRICS. What's the Ramaphosa? Is that
Ramaphosa?
Yeah. He's the current president. So you saw that story. Is that true?
My family at chat had it going on in the WhatsApp forever ago, but
he's saying Saudi Arabia wants to join BRICS.
Yes,
like in the recent past.
Yes.
So apparently he posted on social media saying this is going to happen. If that happens, that is apocalyptic. Already, the Saudis are cutting oil production. Russia is a part of OPEC Plus. This means that they're going to keep being able to sell gas at a premium. It's going to sell to China. China's going to sell to Europe. Europe is getting strangled out come winter. We already saw the videos of Italy, of cafes in Italy, candlelight, cash transactions.
Remember when Texas got so cold that because of the energy or the power went out and all of that happened in Texas. I mean, that's Texas. We're talking about London here. We're talking about a lot colder, and the mayhem that it caused in Texas was, they're still recovering from that.
Is the war worth it?
Well, it's not
Is
just
U-
the war.
Is Ukraine worth it?
It's not just the war. It's a lot of the policies that they've been laying forward that has been deliberately denying people energy. And this is not a problem that's only going to be around for the next few months. This is a problem that's going to be around for the next few years. The Telegraph is reporting that the National Grid warns of a 3-year energy crisis as a national emergency. It is something that they cannot get away from. They just started to announce that they're going to be fracking inside of the United Kingdom. But energy is key to human success, to human prosperity. And again, there is an agenda to limit that specifically. In Ukraine right now, 1/3 of the power stations have been destroyed, as the World Health Organization is, of course, warning about a brutal winter ahead. There's going to be a lot of ramifications because of the foreign policy, because of the domestic policy that has led us to this age where we're literally going back to the Stone Age. Why are we doing this? Well, all in the name of helping the environment, and it's not helping the environment. It's not helping anyone. We're just literally buying, passed over gas from Russia to China that they're just shipping to Europe right now, which is only making sure that people lose more of their money and can't afford to even live and afford a basic lifestyle.
So let me ask you, Ammon. You've been ranching for a long time. You've got animals. Do you have more than cattle? You've probably got.
Yeah, but of course, horses and chickens and that. But mostly, cattle is where we make our money off of.
If the apocalypse happened right now, would your family be all right?
Yeah, we'd be fine.
Totally fine.
Yeah.
Would you even notice? Obviously you notice in the news, but would it impact your daily food consumption?
Amazon wouldn't show up,
Yeah.
and so there'd be that. Of course, we would be affected, but we would have food. We'd have supplies.
But what do you do about toilet paper? That's why everybody lost their minds and started fighting in supermarkets.
It's
Bidets.
Just use your hands and a little bit of
smooth
soap.
rock.
Nice smooth rock.
Rock or a leaf, like a big leaf or something like that, right?
Yeah. But but in all seriousness, I ask because it's funny. I mean, I think people in London would start eating each other within a few days.
Yeah.
I'm okay realistically within like a week or so.
So we might just look at London, what's going on over there. Well, in Idaho, good old conservative Idaho, there's the Democrats there, along with the several establishment Republicans. They're trying to remove 5 dams. Hydropower, that's a primary source of energy.
They're trying to get rid of that.
Trying to get rid of them.
Why?
For the salmon. They believe they say that the salmon's got to go.
But this is
spawn
green
upstream.
energy. This is exactly what they wanted.
Well, I know.
they call it green
none of it
energy.
makes sense.
Well,
None
it
of
makes sense if their goal is to get rid of people and to
That's
reduce
exactly
population.
right. That's the only way it makes sense.
Right.
I've said it many, many times. You're
Yep.
exactly right.
Everything they do, look, the conspiracy theory, as I mentioned, would be the intent to reduce population. We know Bill Gates has given speeches on reducing population growth. So we know he's concerned about there being too many people. If you look at everything they do, take intent out of it, don't think conspiracy, just say, hey, all those things result in less people.
That's
There you go.
exactly right.
Telling the Netherlands to stop farming when there's a food shortage looming, shutting down power plants when there's an energy crisis.
Telling Sri Lanka to get rid of fertilizers.
That's exactly right. It's all. That's why I say it stinks of that globalist environmental movement, and it's a
How dare you.
depopulation agenda.
This is the problem with global environmentalism is they want to stop oil production because it's dirty. So then we run out of electricity. People get desperate. They go to war. Nuclear bombs go off, create a nuclear winter with 3 years of no sunlight. All the farms go dead. Talk about destroying the environment, environmentalists. Nuclear war is the worst thing for the environment that could possibly happen right now. Next to an asteroid.
But peace is
meteor strike.
dangerous. Peace is dangerous. Didn't you see the
At
article?
some point, you just got to burn the coal and then recapture the carbon.
Well, I got to correct you, Ian. They're not just trying to get rid of oil. They're just buying it from Saudi Arabia instead of domestically exploring it and getting it out of the ground here and importing it. Or they're doing it from China, just like they're doing in Europe.
And that confirms the South African president, Cyril Ramaphosa, did say, this is from 7 hours ago, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia did express Saudi Arabia's desire to be part of BRICS. And
Yo, that's apocalyptic.
That's from en.trend.az. And then I also saw that BRICS expects Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey to join the group.
So what would that be then? Egypt, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, they need a
BRICS.
It'd be BRICS plus. Let's just stop with the letters. But I mean, Turkey is Russia's outlet into the Mediterranean, so that makes sense there. Egypt,
No NATO.
Saudi Arabia is just
Turkey
they're
leave.
protecting the Suez Canal. They want that
Right.
trade route into the Mediterranean. And
So
into
where does
Indian Ocean.
nuke land? Because I'm chilling,
I don't think it'll happen, but it'll be an airburst if it did.
Well, yeah, I know, of course, but like over what city?
Kharkiv.
Kiev?
I think.
No, think false flag first.
Not Kiev. Absolutely not. I think.
Why not Kiev though?
Too much civilian population.
I know, it's shock and awe.
Yeah, but that's a lot of death.
I don't think it's going to happen. It would destroy the entire population.
There's a lot of military equipment and a lot Russian military
historical.
infrastructure in Kharkiv.
Isn't Kiev and Kharkiv are like historically important to the Russian people? Is there not a thing?
Yeah, there's a lot of history there. Yes,
Yeah.
there's a lot of blood there. There's a lot of suffering there. There's a lot.
Wasn't
of
Kiev the
genocide.
capital of Russia like hundreds of years ago or something?
I'm
That's
not
what
sure.
I was asking about.
Kiev and
I wasn't
Rus.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think so.
There you go.
Kiev and Rus.
But I don't think I think Putin wants the Donbass region to connect to Crimea. He
Yes,
wants to
definitely.
control more of the Black Sea.
Yeah, of course.
So
Yeah, I don't think he wants a destruction of the world. That's for sure.
no, who does? We live here.
Right.
You know, that's why I always find supervillains funny. It's like, I'm going to destroy the planet. It's like, okay, you live here, dude.
We need Zelensky.
I think another possibility is that he might just go to the Black Sea and just explode something there as a show of force, as a show of power. I think that's also one possibility, just to be like, look what I could do. Let's negotiate. So again, lots of negotiations, lots of it's a big chess game geopolitically that's unfolding right now. But I don't see Kiev. I see a major key piece of the war machine being affected here. And I think also, as you mentioned before, there's a big possibility of a false flag attack, since, of course, there's even U.S.-made nuclear weapons that have gone missing. So there's also a lot of Russian-made nuclear weapons that were disappeared and are missing. So there's a big potential here for someone, a bad actor, to come in and to create a lot of chaos that they would benefit off of.
What if he nukes, like just sends like 100 nukes right into Antarctica? Just like
Mars, the Martian poles.
Well, no, the
He-
thing about
he did it.
Antarctica is that the ice is all on a landmass, so that it actually would raise ocean levels if the ice broke off and went into the water. What if he just went like full comic book villain, was like, you know, I'm not going to lose, so I won't nuke you. I'll nuke Antarctica, and then and they're like, oh no, and there's no defensive capabilities there. So you know, what do you do? I mean, it is kind of silly, but there's things like that. You got to think outside the box. He could say, okay, I won't nuke you. You can't retaliate against me, but I can hit the ice caps.
Dude, I watched the nuclear winter. You got to watch a video on nuclear winter, because what happens is
Oh, yeah.
the nukes go off, black clouds over the everything for 3 years, and then it just covers the entire planet.
Yeah, and the radiation is there for
ins-
hundreds of thousands of years.
The plants
and-
all die.
So
Yeah.
nuts. Like, unless they plan on going underground with canned food for 3 years and then coming back up and being the ruler of a dead planet, I don't understand the methodology.
Bro,
Except-
Raven Rock. Like, I look, I wouldn't be surprised if they have underground farms.
Oh, yeah, probably they do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we need to appeal to Zelensky right now, because he's the guy that will listen to the American. Like, he's an actor, he's an entertainer, he likes being loved. I don't think he's a horrible guy. Like, at first I wanted to hate him because of his, but like the position
Dude, he's
he's
a
in.
puppet, come on.
He's a puppet president,
Yeah,
but like
come
at the same time, it's in his lap. If he wants to negotiate with Putin right now,
No, it
he's
isn't.
The only person on earth that can make this happen is Volodymyr Zelensky.
I disagree.
Who else could start the negotiations though? Because it's up to him.
NATO.
And
The
Putin.
United States and NATO.
You could say that Biden and Putin could do it.
Today, also, the European Union passed the law that allows Ukrainian soldiers to be trained in Europe, and they will be trained specifically in Poland and in Germany. And again, a lot of people don't realize this proxy conflict could last a very long time. It could last 10 years. It could last 20 years. When we look at these kind of sectarian conflicts with, the borders so close to each other, they escalate very quickly. They de-escalate very slowly, and the conflict is always going to be there. So this is something that's going to be a hotbed for a lot of trouble for the future. So, again, negotiations, peace deals, being able to come together. No one is going to be fully happy, but I think we should still push for them two coming together. But the United States, NATO, has to be a part of those conversations, because they're the ones fueling this war. They're the ones financing this war. They're the ones making this war possible. And that's why they need to be at the table. They need to negotiate.
Because if Zelensky went off on his own and was like, I'm going to negotiate, you think NATO would have him removed from power?
Well, they were very close to having negotiations. They were very close to Zelensky and Putin even coming together. They had a meeting. They had a date that the two people were supposed to come together. And then Western leaders came to Zelensky, said, no, you're not going to meet with Putin. No, you're not going to negotiate with him. No, you're not going to have any kind of peace deals here. And Zelensky said, okay.
They actually made a law.
Here's what I think would happen. If Zelensky came out right now and gave a speech and he said, I'm going to meet with Vladimir Putin to negotiate an end to this conflict for the sake of preserving the world and preventing World War III. Half an hour would go by, And CNN would go, breaking news, Zelensky was killed in a car bomb. It was Putin who did it, exploiting the fact that he was trying to negotiate peace, showing just how evil he really was. The new second in command, vice president's taken over, is even more war hawkish. And then it's going to cut to a guy who's going to be like, I love America. And there you go. That's my prediction.
Or they could just use the CGI hologram version of them. Who knows? There's a lot of different possibilities, but there's a lot of psyops. There's a lot of disinformation. There's a lot of propaganda. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of life loss. A lot of innocent people are getting screwed over or getting hurt. We need to stop that immediately. Mm-hmm. And sadly, all we have are neocon, warmongering, bloodthirsty war hawks who are saying more war, more death, more destruction. That to me is absolutely insane and stupid and literally is risking the existence of our civilization. Why? What's the end goal? What's the objective? We don't have any of that.
Is it really risking the civilization?
Absolutely.
When they've got underground bunkers like Raven Rock and Mount Weather, and that's just the ones we know about?
Okay, sorry. The benefit of the 0.001%. And their
right. No, exactly.
bunkers.
The people who have their finger on the button are like, I don't care what happens. I'll be fine.
It'd be a new civilization. Our civilization would be
They're going to live in a space station. Well, I'm going to live in a big space station or underground. What do I got to worry about?
I have a friend, Zach Rauda, who says that civilization is the fall of this civilization is the fall of humanity. I'm like, well, no, it's this one particular. He would say that civilization is the downfall of humanity, what we've done. And I'm thinking it's this civilization that's on the back of oil, that's obsessed with like non-reproducible energy sources and food consumption.
But is that
that's
true?
causing it? Yeah, because I think if we lived in harmony with nature, if we were getting energy out of the vacuum, that we could subsist. If we were like, creating life and then consuming that as opposed to just eating what's already there.
So you're talking about finding a way to harness 0 point energy.
Yeah, exactly. Like the vibration of the vacuum and stuff like that. But
I don't know enough about it, but I've read a bit about it, and I think it's interesting. I mean, fusion is going to be huge, but I'm not convinced that there are some people who have argued that fossil fuels they're not necessarily as finite as we think, and that they're constantly in a state of production. It's not dinosaurs, it's algae that gets compressed, and they've actually synthesized petroleum this way.
That's pretty cool, but I don't have it.
But I think the real issue for these people clearly is energy dense resources like petroleum result in more human beings. And too many human beings means you lose control of the system.
Right. And if everybody had their own energy source, then you'd have even more exponential growth of humans, which could become an even bigger
imagine
problem.
how much prosperous humanity would be if we had free energy.
We would need to make moves fast, because if we get too many people on Earth with unlimited energy, they'll blow each other up.
I mean, if we had free energy, we could just make space stations and leave and go colonize the universe.
If we don't have the technology to like produce food and water out of the vacuum, then the energy is useless. It's just going to make people get hot and blow people up.
It's all about just converting into everything is just energy. You got to convert it and mash things together and structure it properly.
So it's still sci-fi. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. But our civilization is on the back of like a non-renewable resource that it needs to seek out and mine. Like you're saying, they want mining rights because they want those non-renewables. And that would end
name an energy
with a nuclear
source
war.
That's renewable.
An energy source, well, like hydroelectricity.
So, aren't there components in hydroelectric dams that have to be replaced and repaired?
Yeah, renewable it doesn't mean that it lasts forever 100%.
So we're still going to have to mine and search for minerals to make those energy sources
work. Yeah, you probably have like a 1,000th of the mining would be if you had stuff like that, or like tidal power. Like the amount,
I think you're making a lot of assumptions.
Yeah, you don't know. Picking up a number. Yeah. I mean, the amount
you're
of
using their propaganda terms,
right? Wind turbines, for instance, require a ton of oil
to make
to run.
They don't. They cost,
lubricants.
They cost more than the power would cost.
I don't know much about
wind turbines have an extremely low energy return on energy invested. It's like 0.4. I mean, I think it might be above 1, but it might be like 1.4. Whereas like petroleum is like 30 and nuclear power is like 50. So that means for every calorie you put in an investment, you get X output. Nuclear is the best, I believe.
Fusion is pretty regenerative.
And fusion is, I think, the absolute best we have so far. But petroleum is it's massive.
It's easy to get.
I think if the government had been out of the way for the last 30 years when it comes to energy, meaning stop subsidizing, stop regulating, stop controlling, that we would have already found a much better way to create energy. But because of the government's regulations, controls, I mean, nuclear energy is about as efficient as you're going to get as far as what we have developed in technology today. But the governments won't let us use it on the scale that we should be using it.
Too many people.
Dangerous, right? So, but if the government was out of the way, and there was deregulation, if you will, and I know that's a scary word for a lot of people, and they were not subsidizing, I believe we would have a lot of answers already when it comes to energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's intentionally controlling the output, the valve, because they don't want too many people.
Yeah.
Bingo. If nuclear energy was the norm, the energy return is higher than petroleum. So you look at that map, not the map, the chart showing population and then petroleum skyrockets within the span of like one generation. It's insane. We went from having around 500 million people on this planet for hundreds of years to billions. And it's because of technology, the machinery for plants, for farming, as well as the easy access of energy. Yeah. We upgrade from petroleum to nuclear, which is an even better return. And it's going to be another exponential massive increase. And I'm all for it. Just build spaceships and let's go send those spaceships out, put a bunch of people on them and bye-bye.
I think in
Colonize the
Idaho, we're
universe.
like every person, and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure I'm pretty close. Every person in Idaho can have like 22 acres to themselves. So, not that we want that people to come to Idaho, but
Yeah, please don't.
but
please don't.
and Nevada is like 88 acres or something like that.
Well, the
per
interesting thing
person.
is we're terraforming Vegas because here's how it works. Vegas is a desert. People fly there. And when those planes come, it brings water and human waste from other cities. And then people land and they, take their dumps and their beeps in Vegas. All of that stays there. So we're bringing massive amounts of moisture in our own waste.
Fertilizer.
Not right. I don't know about human fertilizer. I don't think they've met, but it is bringing moisture. Then also when they ship food in to feed all these people, that creates more moisture. So now I was reading how there's clouds and there's grass growing. They brought in grass for houses because people like it. That's retaining moisture. We're basically, it's a man-made terraforming of the desert.
Yeah, like
it's
Arizona.
crazy. Yeah.
Lake Mead's, it's drying up quick.
Yep.
Drying up
But
quick.
they're going to keep shipping the water in.
Yeah.
They're not going to let it, collapse.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It makes you wonder what they're going to do. My dad's ranch is like 20 miles. Well, was 20 miles just north of Lake Mead, the very tip of Lake
wow.
Mead, and now it's like 35 miles.
Whoa.
So
Wow.
it's
Do you know
it's
that
rough.
old city that reappeared? What it was called?
Yeah, St. Thomas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it-
I went there.
Under the lake?
Under Lake Mead, yeah.
And then when it dried up, all of a sudden the foundations and everything appeared, and people started going out and taking pictures of it and stuff. I got to go there with
And
a
they
bunch
found
of
all
friends.
those dead bodies from the mafia.
Really?
Yeah, they found a whole bunch
Yeah.
that they thought would never show up again.
Yeah, it makes sense because they were out of Vegas for so long.
That's right, yeah.
It's crazy walking through the desert because there's like plants everywhere and you can't tell, but there's boat parts because
Yeah.
people were, just
used to
sink
be
to
a
the
lake.
bottom, right?
Yeah.
And now it's all dried up now. And like it came back for a while, but it's down, way down
it's
again.
way down. It's down further. It came up a little bit and then went way down.
It's all that global warming.
Yeah.
Bringing the end is
Well,
nigh.
and a
huh?
lot of that's going to California, not just Vegas.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
Right.
piping a lot of it to Southern California.
Oh, the Lake Mead water?
Mm-hmm. I think the bulk of it is actually going to, California.
It is. Yeah.
Interesting. Water rights. That's the guy who, was it Michael Burry, the guy who, The Big Short, I don't know if you saw that movie where he said, hey, the 2008 housing crisis is coming. He was the one that figured it out.
Oh, yeah.
He says water's the next big investment.
I remember him, yeah.
So
Well,
he's
I believe
investing
it.
in like
I believe
food
it.
transport and stuff like that.
But again, if we would get the government out of the way, we would figure out a way to, to renew water, because moisture doesn't leave the atmosphere. I mean, it doesn't. So you just it just goes different places, and it has to be used in a different way or benefited in a different way. So we would find ways to either get the salt out of the ocean or whatever it might be.
Yeah, desalinate. I'm concerned with getting the government out of the way completely because of like Nestle buying up water rights and land, like corporations becoming the new government if we don't have antitrust.
Well, that's
I-
what
yeah.
California is. Basically, the reason all that water's being taken up in California is for almonds, number one, and then also a lot of the other water being bottled up in Nestle, which is a smaller proportion of it, but still significant.
The government protects Nestle and allows them to do that.
Correct.
Ian.
This government.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, so
Has
and
been,
and the other, not to build on that too much because it'd be boring to talk about, but like the courts are where, like, if someone's rights are violated, we need the courts to go to and try to work it out. But what we don't need is the government going in and doing all these preventive, laws that actually make it so that we can't use the natural resources or we can't be free. If Nestle is like, putting toxic waste into the rivers or whatever they might be doing, then the courts are there for the people to say, look, we're going to take Nestle to court. We're going to sue them and stop them from this. Yeah. But for the government to come in and like say, we're going to regulate and control the entire process so no one benefits, I think that's where we've gone wrong.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.